Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Null. This is the place if you want to live a longer and healthier life. Always information from peer-reviewed journals done at prestigious institutions, but for whatever reason, almost never reported in the mainstream media. Well, we do report it because it's important. For example, tea's benefits extend to older bones. This is from Osaka University in Japan. Researchers in Japan say that black tea could help treat osteoporosis. Well, that's a big deal. We have millions of Americans suffering from osteoporosis, mainly because they've been getting a lot of their calcium from dairy, which is not complete. It doesn't give you a full spectrum of minerals. Also, people are too sedentary. In fact, especially the older generation who sat for hours at a time at work. In fact, if you were a kid, as I was in the 1950s, you saw that people pride themselves in sitting at their desk and working. You got a couple breaks in the morning, afternoon, a lunch break, but otherwise you could be at least 3 hours at a time at your desk. Then when people came home after doing their chores, having dinner, they generally were on the couches watching television. So we have not been that active. Now we know we should be very active. You shouldn't sit longer than 2 hours at a time. Get up, stretch, do some deep knee bends or partial knee bends. You have to get the muscles working and you have to get the blood flowing. If you don't, you're going to end up in all likelihood with osteoporosis or thinning of the bones. And that's serious because we used to believe that a person would fall, break a bone, and now we realize that the bones break, causing the people to fall. And then because their immune system is generally not good, they end up with infections and frequently can die. So now we see that there's a good way using just black tea, get the decaffeinated black tea, because it's rich in antioxidants that can prevent the loss of bone density commonly seen in old age, which is almost inevitable in most people in the United States because of our lifestyle. Researchers found that theaflavin, THEAFLAVIN3, the antioxidant works by inhibiting the function of an enzyme called DNA methyltransferase, which destroys bone tissue. And they published their article in the US journal Nature Medicine. So again, something that can help millions of people. Also, for those of you who've been using vitamin C in larger quantities, good for you. You're on the right side of this. I remember once I had just finished the New York City Marathon, one of my first, and all I could think of is just load up on vitamin C. And I did all day long. And then the next day, and for each day thereafter, I took vitamin C drips at the Tri-State Healing Center. And these were high doses. My immune system recovered very quickly. And so I started sharing this with colleagues and then others in the running community. And it was interesting how long it took for that idea of recover from vitamin C in half the time by building back up your immune system using vitamin C. Well, now we know you use a lot more things than that. But I remember people coming to the center, and I'll give you one little case because I think this is important. This is the true firsthand experience. It's not hearsay. It's nothing out of a book. There was a man and his wife and daughter who came to the center, and his name was Ed Finkelstein. His wife was Dolly Finkelstein. Now, initially, she was very skeptical. She didn't believe any of this. And I asked why. Well, because she taught nursing and at a major center. And so he came because he had advanced blockage of his carotid artery, the one going to the brain. And the doctor said at his age, and the blockage, like 95 to 96% blockage, he could die of a heart attack at any moment. But if he had surgery, then there was also a 15 to 20% chance he would die during the surgery, and another 10% chance he would die shortly thereafter. So as an engineer, it was just common sense. Try something else before that life or death surgery. He heard about me, I don't know where, never asked him. So he came, and he couldn't even make it up the steps. So I came downstairs and we sat on the steps at 72nd and Broadway for almost 2 hours. because he asked me a lot of questions. He was very detailed oriented. And right in front of us, parked right up against the curb, 10 feet away, was his wife and daughter. His daughter was also a medical doctor, by the way. Didn't believe in any of this, kept frowning, and then kept yelling out, this is a waste of time. Okay, but he listened. And I explained the biochemistry of how to declog arteries, and it was entirely possible. And it had been done. Dean Ornish had done it, and he could research Dean Ornish, look up his article in the New England Journal of Medicine or the British Medical Journal, The Lancet, and he could see that in a controlled study, he was able to reverse, with no medications or surgery, all forms of heart conditions. So he tried it, and his wife would bring him in, and we would put him on all forms of different modalities. And I created a protocol. Within 6 months, lo and behold, his carotid artery had de-occluded by almost 30%. Within a year, he began to come to the Sunday running groups that we had since 1975 and learn how to run. Along the way, his wife developed Bell's palsy. That can be permanent, by the way, disfiguring of the face, your eye is pulled down, your mouth is pulled down, and it makes it difficult to talk. And I suggested I help her, and she said, no, nothing will help. And I said, well, nothing you know will help, but why not be open? So finally, she said, okay. 2 weeks later, she had no Bell's palsy. 2 weeks and I gave a special protocol of oxygenating the blood and then putting it back into the body. You take out 60 cc's, you oxygenate it with ozone, then put it back in, plus high-dose vitamin C and other nutrients, glutathione, etc. Well, that suddenly got her attention because it was now not about her husband who was improving, but her. So they began to train together. Well, guess what? They were taking high vitamin C, and they continued to take high vitamin C, even though he no longer had occlusion of that artery. In fact, here is history. Prove it for yourself. For every year thereafter, he was nominated and frequently won Outstanding Senior Athlete of the Year at the New York Red Runners Club and the larger organization overseeing all athleticism in New York, the Metropolitan Athletic Congress, and then at the United States top level, the top champion in all of America as a senior runner. He even called me one day, said, Gary, I'm down in Pittsburgh. I just beat Jim Corbett, the Olympian, running. So both of them became world-class athletes every single year. Now I filmed them, and I'm going to get that clip today from our archivist here, and we're going to post it because we then filmed them a day in the life of these two people. He would have been dead, and he's vitally alive, and he's like 90 and terrific health. And what was the common thing? Every single day, they had fresh juices, antioxidants. They had a plant-based diet, antioxidants. They had vitamin E, tocotrienols, which, by the way, now, just as of today, listen carefully, you haven't heard this anywhere else, the latest scientific study shows that the tocotrienols are actually more important than the tocopherols, the alpha, the beta, gamma, delta, tocopherols, vitamin E. Very important, helping your heart, helping oxygenate your blood, helping thin your blood, and a lot of other things it does, also the brain. But the one thing that we found when I was filming out there is they take their vitamin C all day. Now, remember, I suggest you take vitamin C 6 times a day because vitamin C is this master antioxidant that when it goes through your body, it's trapping free radicals, a lot of free radicals, and that neutralizes them. An unpaired molecule in the outer orbit, and boom, it pairs with vitamin C and vitamin E and other antioxidants. In any case, so if you take vitamin C in the morning when you wake up, after you work out, and mid-morning, at lunch, mid-afternoon, early evening, before you go to bed, you're helping prevent strokes and heart attack. You're helping stimulate the natural killer cell activity, making it more potent to trap cancer cells that we all produce all the time. And by doing this, it keeps those individual cancer cells from creating cancer overall in the body. So just my own personal experience, vitamin C on a regular basis can make an enormous difference. So this is the latest from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology. Long-term, high-dose vitamin C supplementation can help maintain your immune functions as you age. The Japanese researchers gave vitamin C in this laboratory experiment, and the per dose was about 200 milligrams per kilogram per day for a year. The results showed a terrific decrease in the size of the thymus, maintained thymic output, meaning stable immune cell counts as the mice age. The older they got, they still maintain their health, especially T cells. Now, older people over the age of 50, the T cell counts are significantly higher in the high dose vitamin C group, and that means your immune system is working on your behalf longer and more diligently. So that's important. Good, all good. All right, and also vitamin C produces collagen. Now, I'm in front of a window, and I have 3 lights here that are 500-watt lights. I have no makeup at all, and the camera's about maybe 4 feet from me. Now, this is a high-definition camera, and today I have, I don't blow out my hair. It's just I get out of the shower and, I put olive oil on it, and massage it in, and take my fingers and comb back. That's it. So take a look at my skin. All right. I don't use Botox. See, I can move my eyebrows. My face isn't frozen. And this is simple. It's not complicated. It's not complicated because I use a lot of quercetin, quercetin, and vitamin C together that creates new collagen. Because from here, going clear across here, you have a band underneath the skin. And what does Botox do? It paralyzes the underlying tissue. As a result, the skin doesn't wrinkle, but you're creating a 24/7 attack upon your immune system when you're using Botox. I mean, 24/7. It's really hurting your immune system. And why this has never been explored or talked about is beyond me. But it does. But when you take natural vitamin C and quercetin together and vitamin D3, what happens is that you begin to create new collagen and it naturally tightens. Just visualize a pair of, let's say, underwear where you've worn them for a long period of time, and now when you put them on, they're not tight. The elastic is expanded, lost its strength, tensile strength, begins to droop. That's similar to the skin. So you can tighten your skin all over the body. You can create new collagen all over the body if you do this on a consistent basis. Another study from the University of Surrey, which is in the United Kingdom, shows that it's not vitamin D2's impact upon human health that's important. It's vitamin D3. And what now does it do? Among all the other things, helping your brain and helping your heart, new research has found that there's a significant difference between the type 2 and type 3, and especially on infection and your immune system. Because vitamin D3 strengthens your immune system and fights against viral infections like the cold or flu. So this is important, all right? This is the latest research from a respected institution and published in a peer-reviewed journal. One last thing, I want to thank Bill Falloon at Life Extension, and these guys do a lot of good work and a lot of good research, and it's quality research. And he has an anti-aging institute with some of the finest anti-aging scientists in the world, and they're doing research mainly in stem cells and mainly to see if they can, let's say, improve organ function, help the body if you've got a disease of some type. But also, I'm doing research separate And, but I share that information with their institute and with Bill, showing that through juicing certain juices and certain vegetables and through nutrients, you can actually stimulate your existing T cells, in effect, to rejuvenate themselves. And this is being done with a study that many institutions that I'm in communication with are observing. Two will actually have observers on the ground at the last 2 weeks of May when I do this, where we're going to prove or not that by modified fasting, which I have a major report on, juicing, which I have a major report on, are done. I'm just waiting for a time slot to fit them into this program, and new stem cell research, not from a laboratory, but from your lifestyle, and stress management at a deeper level than what people are normally going to use. You can slow down and actually stop the premature aging. I said premature aging. So in effect, you can rejuvenate organs. You can rejuvenate your brain. Now, individual people in the world of science don't count. Clinical studies do. But I've been working with these protocols on individuals in their mid-90s, late 90s, late 80s, and it's working. But I can't publish those results. They're merely personal clinical observations. But I'm seeing some phenomenal results. And fortunately, I'm filming all of it with their original physicians and their medical records and their neurologist reports to show here's where they were, way down here, and here's where they are now. So I'm going to share all that with you after this study is done, and I write up the report and publish in a peer-reviewed journal. So one thing I'm adding into this is the different types of mushrooms. In fact, I'm growing the mushrooms specifically right now to use in this study. But there's a landmark study. It was published in April 2021, and it followed the dietary patterns of 15,000 Americans for 20 years. Who knew about it? Those who consume mushrooms in their diet had a 16% lower overall death risk. Let me repeat that. 16% less likelihood to die during this 20-year period. When one serving a day of mushrooms was ingested in place of processed red meats, there was a 35% reduction in all-cause mortality. That's a trend towards ever-lowering mortality was found in people who consumed higher amounts of mushrooms. So what's in a mushroom that enables people to live longer, right? It turns out that mushrooms contain more of an amino acid called L-ergothioneine, and that's ERGOTHIONEINE, than any other foods. Now, this particular amino acid protects your DNA and reduces the shortening of your telomeres. And remember, I said that your telomeres are the end caps of chromosomes, and when they unravel due to your lifestyle, stress, lack of exercise, alcohol, poor diet, obesity, it'll unravel fast, which means you're going to die fast. It's that simple. Longer telomeres, longer life. Shorter telomeres, shorter life. That's simple. So along comes the people who are eating the mushrooms, and this particular amino acid is not produced. It's not indigenous to the body. And its levels peak in early adulthood and steadily decline with age as the body loses its ability to accumulate this powerful nutrient. But it's found in very high amounts in mushrooms and other fungi. And we just don't eat a lot of mushrooms in the United States. So you want a longer life, eat more mushrooms. But then what do mushrooms do? They help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. They're the bone, the blood, the eye, lens, brain, liver, and skin. That's important. So now I'm doing some research on determine exactly which mushrooms will help your immune system the best. You know about maitake D4 but lion's mane, but there are dozens of mushrooms that we don't know about in the United States that we should be growing and eating. So I'll get you information on that shortly. anyhow, so that's the latest on health and healing. We're going to take a break. Now, when we come back, we're going directly to a video of a very